What's up guys, Nice182 here. This time we're gonna be looking at some hands from several singles against a specific player. I've played on $100 Hyper Turbos, and we're gonna be paying attention to what adjustments can we make to exploit this guy given the information that he gives us over time. So let's take a look at the hands. Starting up here, flop top pair, standard c-bet, and take it down. Right now I don't have any reads. He limped though, that's something. I step the pot and he makes it 4x, so easy fold there. Since this is being seen on the replayer, we didn't really have the HUD going, so I made this small HUD with his final stats and only the most important stats: the pre-flop raise, the call from big blind, the limp percentage, and the 3-bet percentage, and the check raise percentage. Now I min raise, he calls, I c-bet, and he makes a big raise there to 200, and I flat call. Pretty standard slow play on this board, especially when he check raises that big. He's gonna be shoving on the turn pretty much always, and surprisingly he actually does have a really big hand, so that's something to take into account for later. But so far very standard spots. Here I c-bet 60 into 80. I think it's important to c-bet bigger on this board, monotone board. He folds. Here he check min raises, and we got second pair. I think that's a standard call, and then decide on different turns and rivers. And on the turn here he bets 40. That's usually either indication of he having air and he is kind of giving up on the bluff, or he does have some 7x or queen x and he doesn't really like the ace and it's kind of a blocking bet. So I choose to call here, and he does the same bet on the river, and I'm gonna take it the same way as the turn bet. Didn't really change anything. So what I decide to do here is, I think either I have the best hand against his air check raise on the flop really, or it's one of those cases that I talked about that he has some queen x or 7x. Those all beat me, so what I chose to do here is to shove, hoping that I would fold out a lot of 7x's and maybe some queen x's because of the ace on the turn. He did have a weak queen and he called me down, so even though he was blocking betting here, he still called the shove. So that's important to remember as well, because later we can overbet shove rivers for value against him and really value bet thinner now, because even though we were representing the ace there or some kind of 2-pair, he didn't really fold. So we got the information right now. Pretty standard short stack spots. Here I decided to limp with ace king suited to see what he was gonna do against a limp, and he did shove 10-9 offsuit, so that's really important as well. Now I'm sitting on the other side and I limp again. No, actually I was the big one. I checked and he was check it down. He didn't really bet the flush draw on the turn there. He min 3-bet to 60 now, and I just shove and he calls it ace-6 off, so he min 3-bet ace-6 off and called the shove. That's really bad. So we know that his mean 3-bet range is probably not super strong, but it's one that he's gonna go with it. He limps again. He seems to be limping a lot, but I don't think we could do much there. He opens, I 3-bet to 90. He mean 4 bets and calls a shove with Queen 10 suited. So yeah, with every new information we see that he's really a terrible player, and he doesn't like to fold at all. He plays really spewy pre-flop, especially with 3-betting and 4-betting, and going broke with marginal hands. On this hand, with the Jack 9 of clubs, I see bet the flop and he check called, and I didn't really want to two barrel, even though I picked up a flush draw, because he seemed really stationary and he's spewy, and he keep me check raising on the turn there, even with some kind of king x hand and something like that, and he's gonna be check calling any pair, even 3x. If he have 3 deuce, he's gonna be check calling for sure. So I just want to take the free card here, and he overbets the river, so easy fold there. Here flop top pair, and he see bet 60. Of course we're gonna be check raise this. I check raise pretty big there because the board is really drawing and expecting to go broke with any kind of draw, any kind of pair and stuff, but he does have the nuts, so that sucks. He 3x's now, and I call. I think this is a really good hand to call. It's really playable. Plus flop plays really well. He's gonna flop a lot of pairs and stuff, and he c bets 80, and that's just not the board that I can represent too much. He's not gonna believe on if I try to wrap the queen x there. He 3-bets. You have to fold 6-5 off. He 3x's again. Kinda shallow stack to be calling 9-7 offsuit. He mean 3-bets again and a shove, as he again has the queen 10 offsuit. So he has really terrible pre-flop ranges. Even though he doesn't play well post-flop, his pre-flop is really terrible. I probably should have called the jack 7 off, even though it's 17 big blinds, or no, less, but it's okay enough to be playing a flop with him, I guess. But I did fold at that time. Instead of shove ace deuce, have to fold the 3-9 though. King deuce suited. Standard 3-bet shove. I expect to get called really light here. He hits again though. That's good. We can play more hands against him. He mean 3-bets again, and king 9's good to go against him, against his mean 3-bet range there, I guess. He doesn't really like to fold. And then queen 10 off, king 10 off, sorry, it's obviously a cooler, 10 big blinds deep. Queen 3, flop 2 pair, just gotta bet big on this turn, and bet shove, and it calls me down with the 3 deuce, the bottom pair on the board. So it shows that he really doesn't like to fold. And now this one he limps on the rematch, and I just shove ace 4 suited pretty standard, and he calls this 9-5 off. So even for him that's pretty bad, and that shows that he's kind of chilty, and he really is gonna be calling really wide to pre-flop shoves. So I got that in mind. It's not a good guy to be isolating his limps as well with like bad hands such as 4 or 5 of suit, because he really doesn't like to fold, so I don't want to play a big pot in those kind of hands. Here he still bets the pot, and I don't really give any credit to that. I don't give credit as far as being a better hand than my second pair. Is gonna be a lot of the times a draw or some kind of ace high. So I check raise just 170. He does shove, and he did have a top pair, but I think in general I'm gonna be right there in my assumption. And on the rematch, the first hand I got ace 10 suited on the button, and I just open shove, and he shows that my read was correct, that he's gonna be calling super wide. So any ace x, I can really just open shove pre-flop, and I'm gonna be getting called by stuff like that. So that's the kind of play that you won't be making as standard to be open shove in ace 10 suited. But as you can see, the information that this guy gives us is that it's gonna be the better move against him, because he's gonna be calling with 6-7 with 9-5 off. So that's the adaptation they're gonna be making against fish like this. Again, he 3x's, and this is a good enough hand to call. We check it down, and he does have a little better, but it's good that we see that he is 3xing queen jack offsuit. He donk bets here 60 after calling 40 pre-flop, and I just low play on the flop, and he check calls the turn, and he check calls the turn, then checks again the river. I shove the 1/3 of the pot. I expect to be getting called by a deuce x a lot. The 8 is a bad card because now he has juice, but I would think that he would don't shove the river if he did have 8x. So I expect him to have deuce x a lot, and maybe some kind of lower pair to the queen, maybe, and some kind of 4x that picked up the 4 on the turn after donk betting the flop with air, even especially if it's a flush draw on the clubs, and even some kind of ace high sometimes that has one of the flush draws. He could be calling with that as well, and he does have the deuce. Missed the flush draw, but still called down with the bottom pair, and we already knew that he likes to do that call down. So that was an important shove there. Might seem a little thin, but against this guy, against what we have seen from him already, it's a pretty standard show on the river, in my opinion. No reason to try to take a stab on this board here. Just for crappy hands like that, since he's gonna be playing back a lot. Aces, I make a pretty big 3-bet, and he flat calls for like half his stack, and I just check all the flop. I think he's gonna be calling pre-flop there to my big 3-bet really wide, and I didn't 3-bet shove as well, because it does get some kind of hands that he wants to see the flop with in. And on the flop there, I just checked to give him a chance to bluff if he didn't hit. He did though, but I think he would have stabbed even if he didn't.